Dr. Laura Dabney, everybody, talking about practical ways you can change your relationships today, whether that be with your spouse, your kids, or yourself. Because if you're a mess, your relationship doesn't stand a chance. And if you're here today, I applaud you because that means you're not trying to change somebody else. Because as we know, that never works. Instead, much smarter to change your approach or your reaction to a problem. You're part of a system, the system changes, the whole system's going to be forced to change. So this month, this year, we're talking about stress, right? This month in particular being December, extended family stress. And I'm giving you this month ways to handle that stress instead of what might be your addictions or tendencies towards addiction. So instead of alcohol, working, porn, or whatever it is, you can have different ways of dealing with all that this month. See what happens. Last week I talked about boundaries, which is always a hot topic. And this week I want to talk about how to deal with those fractured family traditions. Because as your family grows and changes, they may not want to carry on the traditions that you have always done with them or done with them for a long time. Or maybe they even stretch back to your grandparents' days and it's a way you feel of keeping everybody together. Well, the sad truth is our children grow and change, and that's really a good thing, but there's a lot of grief involved. So if you're, I'm going to talk about grown kids because that's where this is usually happening, in at least in my practice is what I hear about the most. Those kids are going to grow and change, and that's a good thing, but it is sad. Okay, so go ahead and have your grief. There's nothing wrong with it. People ask me a lot of times, "Is something wrong with me that I'm sad that they're leaving? I've saved up for their college or saved up for their wedding, and now they're there and I'm sad." No, it's totally normal. Okay, but share that grief with somebody else, not them, spouse, friend, whatever. And they present with a new tradition. Try to keep an optimistic viewpoint of that. If they're sharing it with you, that means that's a good thing. They want to bring you into something new, right? It's better than not sharing with you and not even telling you. So look at it that way. Also, if they are making traditions, that makes stronger bonds. That's probably a pretty healthy kid you got there if they're trying to strengthen their family bonds with traditions which you taught them, right? So pat yourself on the back for creating somebody who feels strong enough to make their own traditions and also is relational enough to do so. Okay. Do take the opportunity to join them in it. Don't beat them over the head with the fact that it's not the tradition you taught them. Instead, maybe come up with a compromise. Okay, maybe bring a little ingredient or part of the tradition that you shared with them to the table. Ask them first, though. Okay, this is being respectful of their wish to start a new tradition with their family. Maybe bring an ingredient, a cookie ingredient, and say, "Hey, is it okay if I take 6 of the cookies and add this ingredient? It'd be fun to see what happens." Or bring a little figurine or piece reading from the tradition to do either after or before, or maybe you can read while they're doing whatever tradition they do. I don't know. But try to come up with a compromise. That's a way of blending the two. It's respecting your wish and theirs. And they might grab onto that. And who knows, you might have a whole new tradition there. This is also a great time to maybe step away from the tradition with your kids, let them formulate their own, and go ahead and find a new extended family member and do a tradition swap. For instance, if this is a tradition that came from your parents, maybe find a cousin of your parents or a neighbor or somebody of your parents who you can reach out to. This is the time to do it. It's the holidays. I've been thinking about my parents. I've heard your name. I would love to share a couple of traditions with you if you could share some with me. Who knows, maybe you don't know all the traditions and they might have a new one for you. You can do one over Zoom one day and they can do one with you over Zoom the next day. It's a great way to meet new family members, carry on a tradition without beating your kids up for it, right? Okay, so that's the way of dealing with new family traditions. And I'll just tell you, having done this for 20 years, that oftentimes those kids who are changing traditions in their younger years often come back later and want to hear about those old traditions again. Or when there are grandkids there, when they're at your house, you go ahead and share the tradition with them. You can't have too many traditions. Let's put it that way, right? Okay, so this is Dr. Laura Dabney signing off, wishing you all very, very happy holidays. We'll be back next time with better ways to deal with sensitive topics, besides turning into your addictions. Okay, see you next week.